All right, guys, with this particular video, I'm going to focus on the seventh day of a blood sample from two people. One is a new client, a new local client, and the other one would be mine for comparison. And what I found was what I thought was pretty remarkable. Still trying to wrap my head around what I really believe it is, what it could be. So the major difference between my client and myself was that my client was on a multitude of supplements. And she was taking hours out of her week, every week, to pack these gelatin capsules full of all these powders. And she was taking many of them every single day for a while before she met me. So, and what the difference is with me is that I just started an SSKI regimen, and that's pretty much all I've been doing. And if you pay attention to my channel and you've been watching my channel for any length of period of time, you'll notice that there is a mycelium fungal-like element to it, and that's kind of what I'm seeing. No matter where I look, it appears. Water, snow, rain, tap water, many products. So what we see here is my client's blood. This is the seventh day of drying. I'll let you see that entire clip, and then I'm going to break the clip down. What we have here is like what appears to be, and what most microscopists or live blood microscopists would probably say is fibrogen. I don't believe that anymore, mainly because of my findings in with myself. I don't see this anymore in my blood at all, and I have in the past. And I may overlay some footage of my blood from, I don't know, maybe back in the summertime or whatever. To show you that I had all this so-called fibrogen, which I think is biology that has been overtaken, overran by this very invasive infiltration of whatever you get the picture. So my new client, she had lots of these sheets and folds. And you can see her desiccated, dried out, disintegrated blood. Like it is mostly gone. There we go. That is, I again, you know, lots of microscopists, a lot of blood microscopists would probably say that this is just fibrogen. I will throw in a clip from Maria Crisler. This video was recorded and aired, I believe, 11 months ago, where she was showing her findings on a Buffy coat, which she was isolating some of these so-called fibrogen threads, and she was telling you the composition and talking about how conductive this stuff is. So it's not our grandma and granddaddy's fibrogen anymore. It's something else. Again, I oftentimes lean towards this fungal like mimetic state of infiltration. That's where I am on this thing because I just don't see the way most people see things, and I could be 100% wrong. I'm sorry if this is really jumpy. I'm just trying something a little new. So this is still day 7, same slide, same day. And this is what little bit of blood she had left. She didn't have much. That was, what you call so-called discernible looking. There we go. More of that so-called fibrogen. It looks like a network to me. Looks like it has purpose. I would dare say it's consuming because you've took it outside of its host. So all it has left is this material here to work with. It just eats away. Again, that's just my opinion. Just in case I didn't say in the beginning, we're looking at 400 times magnification and bright field. I can just see the so-called fibrogen much easier under bright field. Look at this. Look at this area. All right, so that's all I'm going to show you from my client. So what I'm going to do right now is run the clip from Maria and just let you hear her explanation of these fibers or so-called fibrogen threads.
And then here I did a spot check of one of the nanoparticles. This was silicone, 35%, magnesium and bromine. And then here I have aluminum, silicone, tellurium. One more spot check on a different area. I've got silicone, zirconium, magnesium, and bromine. Then I wanted to say, okay, I'm going to pull all of this together and I'm going to prove to people that it is inside of us. Of course, the food is poisoned. Of course, the water is probably poisoned. I haven't examined it, but I could with more time. And I wanted to look at something called a Buffy coat. So for me, with cell biology, what I want to know is, how are the white blood cells handling this? A Buffy coat is a preparation that I can do where I'm only looking at the white blood cells in a sample. That's all I want to see. Of course, they break down, but I can find what's going on inside of those cells after breakdown. This is just for comparison. So this is not the Buffy coat. This is a video of blood that I did some year and a half ago. And I have been looking for these fibers. I call them superconductive. Okay. Most other researchers would say that's fibrinogen. So these are fibrinogen fibers through here, but you can clearly see that in synthetic biology, these are labeled as dots. So these are either carbon or graphene dots, or some other element, silicone, whatever that may be. And this is what I coined as electron harvesting. You can see that these are tethered between the blood cells, that the blood is reacting heavily to all of this that's going on. And I coined this as a superconductive fiber. For one day, I haven't believed that this is just a function of fibrinogen. Okay. Now with the electron microscope, I can actually do comparative microscopy where I can isolate those fibers, and then I can take them in And this again is from uninjected blood after I did a Buffy coat sample. And I look at this particular dot, okay, according to synthetic biology literature. And I see 15% silicone, platinum, strontium, magnesium, and chlorine. Why is chlorine significant? I'll go into that a little bit later. But for now, when our white blood cells are under attack and they come across a pathogen, they have chloride inside of them, but they convert the chloride to chlorine in order to destroy the pathogen. And it made sense to me that I would see a little bit of chlorine in a Buffy coat from a white blood cell. I analyzed another spot. You can see here that I have platinum and silicone. Then you can see more silicone. Platinum, this is the fiber right here that I'm getting a sample of, a spot sample, strontium, magnesium, and tellurium. So the same things that are in the chemtrails. And then here is another spot analysis, and I get silicone, zirconium, magnesium, and tellurium. I looked at another area where I could start to see fibers forming. And when I look at this area, I get platinum, strontium, tellurium, and some other organic things, silicone, of course. And then I go after a particle that's inside of one of the fibers, and I get platinum, chlorine, 19.6 or 0.06%. Molybdenum, I don't see so much. Rhodium, rhenium, these might be outliers, but the machine is pretty definite that these things are here. Silicone and tin. Another spot analysis inside one of the fibers, I've got silicone, platinum, you get the picture, strontium, tellurium, the same suspects.
Again, this is my sample. Both samples were taken around roughly the same time domain, maybe within an hour of each other. But this is the seventh day. And what you'll see is all my pockets like this. You won't see any of those threads, which once upon a time, a little over 90 days ago, you would have seen this. I would have seen this so-called spidery fibrogen all over the place. I don't see it anymore. The only thing that I've done different is SSKI. So yeah, all my pockets are really clean. Under dark field too. And you see that most of my slide looks like this. Most of my slide looks like, mostly whole blood on the seventh day, which this is the first time this has ever happened to me. This is the very first time that I have mostly whole blood. And it seemed to almost always disintegrate around mostly disintegrated by the third day. This is the seventh day. And as you saw with my client, almost most of her blood was non-discernible, disappeared, disintegrated, whatever you want to call it. Most of these pockets are very clean, which it was amazing to me to see that. My client had a lot of those sheets and folds or whatever they were. I've never seen that in my blood. Never, not one time. The main culprit that I've been dealing with or seeing in my blood is that so-called fibrogen threading, if you will, within all these little pocketed areas where blood would have been, you know, laid flat in the saucer-like presentation floating around. But this is what happens, over time where it just congeals onto each other and gets clumpy over time. That's pretty much all I have. I'm just showing you what I think to be a potential significant finding. I will know more when I look at her blood at day 30 and more importantly, day 90, because that's where I'm at. I'm at 90 days of utilizing SSKI. And I will tell you this much. not to keep you in too much of the dark. But again, people need to learn how to research these things and find out what works for you, and not just listen to people give you a dose and just run with it. I don't believe in that. I've never believed in that. So I just been taking it once a day. I'm here to tell you, SSKI, super saturated iodine. So it's powerful stuff. So you can't take so much anyway. So that's where I'm at. That's my findings. I think it's significant. I could be wrong. I could look at my blood in 30 days from now when I look at hers, and it could be worse. So I don't know. And I'm not the type of guy to come out and, show you all this great stuff and then all of a sudden it'd be right back where it was. And if that's the case, I will show you. Again, that's all I have. Until next time, take care.